The year 2025 holds secrets that will reshape our world. A woman who crossed the threshold of death has returned with a warning from Jesus himself. Her testimony challenges everything we thought we knew about life, death, and the future. As we stand on the brink of these prophesied events, one question remains: are we prepared for what's coming? Amelia Johnson's day began like any other. A successful marketing executive in her mid-30s, she navigated the bustling streets of Atlanta with her usual grace and determination. Her calendar was filled with client meetings, team briefings, and a lunch date with her sister. As she sipped her morning coffee, Amelia had no inkling that her ordinary routine was about to take an extraordinary turn. The first signs were subtle: a slight dizziness as she stood to greet a client, a faint pressure in her chest that she dismissed as indigestion. But as the morning wore on, these mild discomforts escalated into something far more alarming. By noon, Amelia found herself gripping her desk, her breath coming in short, painful gasps. Her colleagues noticed the change immediately. Amelia's usually vibrant complexion had turned ashen, and beads of sweat glistened on her forehead. As they called for help, Amelia's world began to spin. The office around her blurred into a cacophony of concerned voices and frantic movement. Paramedics arrived within minutes, their practiced hands moving swiftly as they assessed her condition. The medical jargon they exchanged painted a grim picture: tachycardia, hypertension, cyanosis. Amelia's heart was racing at an alarming rate, her blood pressure plummeting dangerously low. Her skin had taken on a bluish tinge, a clear sign that her body was starving for oxygen. As they rushed her to the nearest hospital, the paramedics worked tirelessly to stabilize her condition. Intravenous lines were inserted, medication administered, and oxygen flowed through a mask pressed firmly to her face. Yet despite their best efforts, Amelia's vital signs continued to deteriorate. In the emergency room, a team of doctors and nurses swarmed around her. The electrocardiogram showed erratic patterns, hinting at a potentially fatal arrhythmia. Blood tests were ordered, imaging scheduled, but time was a luxury Amelia no longer had. Suddenly, the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor gave way to a single, continuous tone. Amelia's heart had stopped. The room erupted into a flurry of activity as the medical team initiated cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Chest compressions, electric shocks, and a cocktail of emergency medications were all employed in a desperate attempt to restart her heart. Minutes ticked by, feeling like an eternity to those fighting for Amelia's life. After 20 minutes of relentless effort, the lead physician made the difficult call. "Time of death, 2:47 p.m., he announced, his voice heavy with the weight of those words. As the team stepped back, a somber silence fell over the room. For all intents and purposes, Amelia Johnson was clinically dead. Yet in that moment, suspended between life and death, Amelia's journey was far from over. She stood at the threshold of an experience that would challenge everything she thought she knew about existence itself. As the physicians pronounced Amelia clinically dead, her consciousness began to drift into a realm beyond scientific explanation. What she encountered next would shatter the boundaries between the known world and the great beyond. How does one describe an experience that defies the very laws of nature? Amelia's initial sensation was one of profound disorientation. The stark white walls of the hospital room seemed to dissolve, giving way to a swirling vortex of colors she had never before witnessed. These hues danced and pulsed with a life of their own, creating patterns that spoke of infinite complexity and beauty. The boundaries of her physical form appeared to blur, merging with this kaleidoscopic display. As her awareness expanded, Amelia became acutely conscious of a complete absence of pain or discomfort. The distress that had gripped her earthly body moments ago had vanished entirely. In its place, a sense of weightlessness enveloped her, as if gravity itself had relinquished its hold. She felt herself floating, suspended in a dimension where time seemed to lose all meaning. The silence of death gave way to a symphony of otherworldly sounds. It wasn't music in any conventional sense, but rather a harmonious vibration that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of existence. Each note carried with it emotions and memories, not just her own, but those of countless others who had traversed this liminal space. As Amelia's senses adjusted to this new reality, she became aware of a presence. It was unlike anything she had ever encountered, a force of pure, unconditional love that permeated every aspect of this strange new environment. This presence seemed to beckon her forward, guiding her through the swirling colors and ethereal melodies. The journey through this otherworldly realm felt both instantaneous and eternal. Amelia's mind struggled to comprehend the vastness of what she was experiencing. Questions of life, death, and the nature of reality itself flooded her consciousness. Yet amidst this overwhelming influx of sensations and thoughts, a profound sense of peace prevailed. Suddenly, the kaleidoscope of colors coalesced into a singular, brilliant light. Its radiance was unlike anything Amelia had ever seen, impossibly bright, yet causing no discomfort to behold. As she drew closer to this luminous source, a figure began to take shape within it. The form was both familiar and transcendent, emanating a warmth and compassion that touched the very core of her being. With a mixture of awe and recognition, Amelia realized she was in the presence of Jesus himself. His appearance was not as she had imagined from paintings or descriptions, but rather a manifestation of pure love and wisdom that defied earthly representation. As their eyes met, Amelia understood that this encounter was no chance meeting. She stood at the threshold of revelations that would forever alter the course of her life and potentially the fate of humanity itself. In the presence of Jesus, Amelia felt an overwhelming sense of awe and disbelief. The radiant figure before her emanated boundless love, yet an undercurrent of urgency pulsed through their connection. As Jesus opened his mouth to speak, Amelia sensed that the very fabric of time was about to unravel. What revelations lay hidden behind those omniscient eyes? "Amelia," Jesus spoke, his voice resonating with a warmth that seemed to embrace her very soul. "You have been chosen for a purpose greater than you can imagine." His words, though gentle, carried a weight that Amelia felt in the depths of her being. Struggling to find her voice, Amelia finally managed to ask, "Why me? I'm just an ordinary woman." The question seemed to hang in the air, surrounded by the ethereal light that enveloped them both. Jesus smiled, a gesture that conveyed infinite compassion. "It is often through the most unexpected vessels that the most profound messages are delivered," he explained. "You have been brought here to witness events that will shape the future of humanity." As the gravity of his words sank in, Amelia felt a mixture of fear and anticipation coursing through her. The enormity of the responsibility began to dawn on her. "What am I meant to see?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I will show you 4 visions, Amelia," Jesus replied, his gaze intensifying. 4 events that will unfold in the year 2025. These revelations are not meant to instill fear, but to prepare and guide humanity through the challenges that lie ahead. Amelia's mind reeled at the implications. The year 2025 seemed so close, yet the idea of foreseeing future events felt utterly surreal. She found herself grappling with a myriad of emotions, curiosity, trepidation, and a deep sense of humility in the face of this divine encounter. As if sensing her inner turmoil, Jesus placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. The touch sent waves of reassurance through Amelia, calming her racing thoughts. "Remember, Amelia, with knowledge comes responsibility. What you are about to witness will test your faith and resolve, but it will also empower you to make a difference in the world." Amelia took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "I'm ready," she said, surprised by the strength in her own voice. Jesus nodded, his expression both solemn and encouraging. "Then let us begin. Open your mind and your heart, for the first vision is about to unfold before you." As Jesus spoke these words, the radiant environment around them began to shift and transform. Amelia felt as if she were being transported through time and space, the boundaries of reality bending to reveal glimpses of a future yet to come. She braced herself, knowing that what she was about to witness would forever change her perception of the world and her place in it. As the ethereal mist cleared, Amelia found herself suspended above a familiar yet alien landscape. The earth lay before her, but not as she remembered it. Continents writhed, oceans surged, and the very air seemed to crackle with energy. Could this really be our planet's fate in just a few short years? The first vision was about to reveal a truth more shocking than Amelia could have imagined. Jesus' presence beside her radiated calm, even as the scene below unfolded with terrifying intensity. "This is the Earth in 2025, he said, his voice steady amidst the chaos. Amelia watched in horror as massive earthquakes rippled across entire continents, causing cities to crumble like sandcastles. The San Andreas Fault split wide open, forever altering the landscape of California. In Asia, the Himalayas shuddered, triggering landslides that buried entire villages. But the terrestrial upheaval was only the beginning. The oceans, once thought to be Earth's stabilizing force, now rose up in rebellion. Tsunami waves of unprecedented height crashed against coastlines, swallowing islands whole and redrawing the maps of continents. The melting of polar ice caps accelerated at an alarming rate, causing sea levels to rise dramatically and submerging low-lying areas around the globe. As Amelia struggled to process the magnitude of destruction, she noticed changes in the atmosphere itself. Violent storms formed with frightening speed, their intensity far surpassing anything recorded in human history. Hurricanes the size of small countries whirled across oceans, while tornadoes ripped through landscapes with savage force. The vision shifted, showing her the aftermath of these cataclysmic events. Millions of climate refugees fled uninhabitable regions, straining the resources of areas less affected by the disasters. Global food production plummeted as fertile lands were lost to flooding or turned to dust by extreme drought. The delicate balance of ecosystems teetered on the brink of collapse, with countless species facing extinction. Amelia turned to Jesus, her eyes brimming with tears. "How can this be?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Is there no way to prevent this?" Jesus' gaze was compassionate but resolute. "What you see is the culmination of humanity's long disregard for the Earth's delicate systems," he explained. "The signs have been present for decades, ignored by many until it was too late." As the vision began to fade, Amelia felt a deep sense of urgency. She understood that this revelation was not just a glimpse of a possible future, but a call to action. The connection between human activity and the Earth's upheaval was undeniable, a stark reminder of the responsibility each person bore for the planet's fate. As the last images of the ravaged Earth dissolved, Amelia sensed that her journey through these prophetic visions was far from over. The weight of what she had witnessed pressed heavily upon her, even as she braced herself for what was to come. What other revelations awaited her in this divine encounter? And how would humanity respond when faced with the knowledge of its own perilous future? Just when Amelia thought she had seen the worst of what was to come, Jesus turned to her with a grave expression. "The Earth's turmoil is but a prelude," he said. "Now, witness how mankind's choices ripple across nations." What followed was a chilling tableau of human conflict that would redefine the very concept of global war. The vision shifted, and Amelia found herself hovering over a world map, pulsing with ominous red lines. Each line represented a conflict, and they were multiplying at an alarming rate. As she watched, these lines began to intersect and overlap, creating a web of discord that spanned continents. In the Middle East, long-standing tensions erupted into full-scale warfare. Nations that had teetered on the brink of conflict for decades now plunged headlong into battle. The holy sites of Jerusalem became flashpoints of violence, with sacred ground stained by the blood of the faithful. Across the vast expanse of the Pacific, a new Cold War simmered. China and the United States engaged in a high-stakes game of brinksmanship, their navies facing off in contested waters. The South China Sea, once a vital trade route, now resembled a powder keg ready to ignite at the slightest provocation. Europe, too, was not spared from the tide of conflict. The fragile alliances that had maintained peace for generations began to fracture. Old grievances and new ideologies clashed, sending shockwaves through the continent. Countries that had once stood united now turned on each other, their borders becoming battle lines. In Africa, a resource war raged as nations fought over dwindling supplies of water and arable land. Climate refugees poured across borders, straining already tenuous relationships between neighboring countries. Proxy conflicts, fueled by outside interests, tore communities apart and destabilized entire regions. The scale of the conflicts was unlike anything in recorded history. Advanced weaponry and cyber warfare capabilities amplified the destruction, while social media and instantaneous communication spread fear and misinformation at an unprecedented pace. The line between civilian and combatant blurred as entire populations were drawn into the maelstrom of global conflict. Amelia watched in horror as diplomatic efforts crumbled and international organizations proved powerless to stem the tide of violence. The carefully constructed system of global cooperation, built over decades, seemed to disintegrate in a matter of months. As the vision began to fade, Amelia turned to Jesus, her eyes filled with anguish. "Is this the inevitable fate of humanity?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jesus looked at her with infinite compassion. "The future is not set in stone, Amelia. What you have witnessed is a warning, a glimpse of what may come to pass if humanity continues on its current path. The fragility of peace is evident, but so too is the power of choice. Each individual, each nation has the capacity to choose a different way." As the last echoes of conflict faded from view, Amelia felt the weight of this revelation settle upon her. The interconnectedness of the world had never been more apparent, nor more precarious. She understood that the message she would carry back to the living was not just one of impending doom, but of the urgent need for unity and understanding in the face of global challenges. As the vision of global conflict faded, a new light began to emerge. What if, in the darkest hour, humanity found its greatest strength? Amelia was about to witness a transformation that would challenge everything she thought she knew about the human spirit. The scene before her shifted, and Amelia found herself drawn into a more intimate perspective. Instead of vast landscapes and global events, she now saw individuals, countless faces from every corner of the world. Each person seemed to be experiencing a profound internal shift. Their eyes, once clouded with fear and uncertainty, now shone with a newfound clarity and purpose. Jesus spoke softly, his voice filled with hope. Amidst the chaos and destruction, a great awakening begins to stir in the hearts of many. Amelia watched in awe as people from diverse backgrounds underwent simultaneous spiritual epiphanies. In bustling cities and remote villages alike, individuals paused in their daily routines, struck by sudden realizations about the interconnectedness of all life. She saw a businessman in Tokyo drop his briefcase, overcome by a wave of compassion for the homeless man he passed every day. In a small town in Brazil, a young mother looked at her children with new eyes, understanding the profound responsibility of nurturing not just their bodies, but their souls. The vision expanded, revealing how this spiritual revolution transcended religious and cultural boundaries. In a mosque in Egypt, an imam preached about unity and shared humanity, his words resonating with followers in a way they never had before. At the same time, in a cathedral in Rome, a priest experienced a revelation about the true nature of divine love, inspiring him to break down barriers between different faiths. Amelia observed as ancient wisdom traditions merged with modern scientific understanding, creating a new paradigm of spirituality. Indigenous elders shared their deep connection to the earth with environmental scientists, leading to breakthroughs in sustainable living practices. Quantum physicists found common ground with Buddhist monks, their combined insights reshaping humanity's understanding of consciousness and reality. As the spiritual awakening spread, Amelia saw its impact rippling through society. Communities that had been torn apart by conflict began to heal, fostered by a new sense of empathy and shared purpose. Global leaders, touched by this wave of enlightenment, started to prioritize cooperation over competition. The world's religions, long divided by dogma and doctrine, began to recognize their common truths and work together for the greater good. Yet, even as hope blossomed, Amelia sensed that this transformation would not come without challenges. She saw individuals struggling to integrate their new awareness into their daily lives and institutions resisting the tide of change. The path ahead would require courage, patience, and an unwavering commitment to unity and diversity. As this vision of spiritual awakening began to fade, Amelia turned to Jesus, her heart full of questions about the profound changes she had witnessed. But before she could speak, she sensed a shift in the energy around them. The air seemed to crackle with anticipation, and she knew that one final revelation awaited her. One that would tie together all she had seen and challenge humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The air hummed with possibility as Jesus gestured towards a shimmering apparition. "Behold," he said, "the discovery that will redefine the very essence of what it means to be human." Amelia leaned forward, her mind racing to comprehend the implications of what she was about to witness. The vision unfolded, revealing laboratories bustling with activity, scientists huddled around complex machinery, their faces alight with excitement and trepidation. Amelia watched as they unveiled a breakthrough that would alter the course of human history. The ability to seamlessly merge human consciousness with artificial intelligence. This wasn't merely an advancement in computer technology, it was a quantum leap that allowed the human mind to expand beyond its biological limitations. Amelia saw individuals interfacing directly with vast networks of information, their thoughts and memories intertwining with digital realms. The boundaries between flesh and machine blurred, giving rise to a new form of existence. The implications of this technology were staggering. Diseases of the mind, once incurable, could now be remedied by rewiring neural pathways. The entirety of human knowledge became instantly accessible, transforming education and problem-solving. Communication evolved beyond language, with people sharing thoughts and emotions across vast distances with perfect clarity. Yet, as Amelia observed the marvels of this new age, she also sensed the looming shadows of its potential dangers. The technology that promised to elevate humanity also threatened to divide it. Those with access to these enhancements gained unprecedented advantages, while others risked being left behind, creating a chasm of inequality unlike anything seen before. Questions of identity and autonomy arose as the line between individual consciousness and collective intelligence grew increasingly nebulous. Amelia witnessed heated debates among ethicists, philosophers, and religious leaders grappling with fundamental questions about the nature of the soul and free will in this brave new world. The vision shifted, showing glimpses of a transformed society. Cities pulsed with invisible streams of data, their inhabitants connected in ways previously unimaginable. Work, leisure, and relationships all evolved to accommodate this new reality. But alongside the wonders, Amelia saw the struggles of those resistant to change, clinging to traditional notions of humanity. As the final vision began to fade, Amelia turned to Jesus, her mind reeling from the magnitude of what she had witnessed. "This technology," she began, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and concern, "it has the power to elevate us to new heights, but also to fundamentally change who we are. How will we navigate this transformation without losing our humanity?" Jesus smiled, his eyes reflecting infinite wisdom. "The tool is neither good nor evil, Amelia. Its impact will be determined by the choices humanity makes. This revelation is not just about technology, but about the very nature of consciousness and creation. It is a test of your species' wisdom and compassion." As the prophetic visions drew to a close, Amelia felt the weight of responsibility settling upon her shoulders. She understood that her journey back to the world of the living would be just the beginning of a greater purpose, to prepare humanity for the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead in the rapidly approaching year of 2025. As the weight of her newfound purpose settled upon Amelia, a sudden shift in the atmosphere caught her off guard. The celestial realm began to dissolve around her, and a question burned in her mind. What would it feel like to leave paradise and re-enter her earthly body? Jesus' gentle voice broke through her swirling thoughts. "It's time, Amelia. Your journey back begins now." His words were tinged with both encouragement and a hint of sadness. Amelia felt a surge of conflicting emotions, a deep longing to stay in this realm of pure love and understanding, coupled with an urgent need to return and share what she had witnessed. As the luminous presence of Jesus began to fade, Amelia experienced a sensation of falling. The brilliant light that had surrounded her gave way to a tunnel of swirling colors. She felt herself being pulled downward, faster and faster, through layers of consciousness. The warmth and peace of the spiritual realm receded, replaced by a growing awareness of physical sensations. The transition was jarring. Amelia's consciousness slammed back into her body with unexpected force. She gasped, her lungs burning as they filled with air. The sterile smell of the hospital room assaulted her senses, a stark contrast to the ethereal sense of the realm she had just left. The harsh fluorescent lights above seemed painfully bright after the soft glow of the divine presence. In the emergency room, the medical team had already begun to step away from Amelia's body, resigned to their inability to revive her. Suddenly, monitors sprang to life, beeping frantically as her heart restarted. The lead physician's eyes widened in disbelief. "This is impossible," he muttered, rushing back to Amelia's side. As Amelia's eyes fluttered open, she was met with a chorus of shocked exclamations. The medical staff crowded around her, their faces a mixture of awe and confusion. They bombarded her with questions, checking her vitals, and marveling at her seemingly miraculous revival. Amelia tried to speak, to share the profound revelations she had received, but found her voice weak and her thoughts muddled. The enormity of her experience clashed with the clinical reality of the hospital room. How could she possibly convey the magnitude of what she had witnessed? As the initial shock subsided, both Amelia and her caregivers began to notice subtle but significant changes. Her eyes, once a deep brown, now shimmered with flecks of gold, a physical manifestation of her spiritual transformation. The medical team was baffled by readings that defied explanation. Brain activity that surpassed normal human levels and cellular regeneration occurring at an unprecedented rate. Amelia's mind raced, grappling with the challenge that lay ahead. How would she navigate this new reality, bridging the gap between the divine truths she had learned and the skeptical world she had returned to? As she lay there, surrounded by the trappings of modern medicine, Amelia knew that her real journey, the one that would shape the future of humanity, was only just beginning. Amelia's return to the world of the living was nothing short of miraculous, but the real challenges were only beginning. As she regained consciousness in the hospital room, she found herself caught between two realities: the profound spiritual experience she had just undergone and the stark clinical environment surrounding her. The medical staff, still reeling from her unexpected revival, bombarded Amelia with questions and tests. Their scientific minds struggled to reconcile her resurrection with their understanding of human physiology. Amelia's vital signs, while stable, showed anomalies that baffled even the most experienced doctors. Her brainwave patterns, in particular, exhibited frequencies never before recorded in a living person. As news of Amelia's revival spread, her hospital room became a hub of activity. Family members rushed to her bedside, their faces a mixture of joy and disbelief. Amelia's sister, Sarah, clasped her hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. "We thought we'd lost you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Amelia longed to share the profound revelation she had received, but found herself at a loss for words. How could she possibly convey the magnitude of her experience? The memory of Jesus' presence, the visions of future events, and the weight of her newfound purpose seemed to exist in a realm beyond language. When Amelia finally spoke, her words were met with a spectrum of reactions. Her family listened with a mixture of awe and skepticism, struggling to comprehend the implications of her story. The medical professionals exchanged worried glances, some dismissing her account as a hallucination brought on by the trauma of near death. Dr. Richards, the lead physician, approached Amelia's case with cautious curiosity. "What you've experienced is extraordinary, Ms. Johnson," he said, his tone measured. "But we need to consider all possible explanations, including those rooted in neuroscience and psychology." As days passed, Amelia found herself grappling with the challenge of integrating her spiritual awakening into her everyday life. The mundane concerns of hospital food and insurance paperwork seemed trivial in comparison to the cosmic truths she had glimpsed, yet she knew that navigating this earthly realm was crucial to fulfilling her purpose. The turning point came during a quiet moment of reflection. Amelia realized that her experience wasn't meant to be hidden away or dismissed. The visions she had been granted were a gift, one that carried with it a responsibility to share and prepare others for the events to come. With newfound resolve, Amelia made a decision that would alter the course of her life. She would share her story, not just with her immediate circle, but with the world. The path ahead would be fraught with challenges, skepticism, ridicule, and perhaps even danger. But Amelia understood that her testimony could be the catalyst for a global awakening, a chance to unite humanity in the face of the trials that lay ahead. As Amelia prepared to leave the hospital, she felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. The world she was returning to remained unchanged, but her perspective had been forever altered. She stood on the threshold of a new chapter, one that would test her courage, challenge her convictions, and potentially reshape the future of humanity. What happens when a woman claims to have seen the future, but no one believes her? Amelia's quest for validation would push the boundaries of both faith and reason, ultimately leading to a shocking discovery that no one could have predicted. Determined to prove the authenticity of her visions, Amelia embarked on a methodical journey to document every detail of her near-death experience. She began by writing extensive journal entries, capturing the vivid imagery and profound emotions of her encounter with Jesus. Her descriptions of future events were precise, including dates, locations, and specific details that could be verified when the time came. Amelia's first hurdle came when she approached scientific experts with her story. Neurologists and psychologists listened with skepticism, attributing her visions to the effects of oxygen deprivation on the brain. Dr. Elizabeth Hawkins, a renowned neuroscientist, explained, "While fascinating, near-death experiences can often be explained by the brain's response to extreme stress. The visions Ms. Johnson describes are likely a result of complex neurological processes rather than genuine prophecy." Undeterred, Amelia sought out religious scholars and spiritual leaders. Her account resonated with some who saw parallels between her experience and prophetic visions described in various religious texts. However, others remained cautious, wary of false prophets and the potential for misinterpretation. As months passed, Amelia's frustration grew. She began to question her own sanity, wondering if perhaps the skeptics were right. But then, unexpected corroboration came from an unlikely source. Dr. James Chen, a quantum physicist studying the nature of consciousness, reached out to Amelia after hearing her story through a colleague. Dr. Chen's research into the quantum nature of reality had led him to theories that aligned eerily well with Amelia's visions. He explained, "There's growing evidence that consciousness isn't confined to our brains. It's possible that under certain conditions, the mind can access information beyond our normal perception of time and space." This scientific perspective provided a bridge between Amelia's spiritual experience and the realm of empirical research. Dr. Chen's interest sparked a collaboration that would challenge conventional understandings of reality and prophecy. As news of this unlikely partnership spread, Amelia found herself at the center of a growing movement. People from diverse backgrounds, scientists, spiritualists, and ordinary individuals seeking meaning, began to take her visions seriously. They saw in her story a potential key to unlocking the mysteries of human consciousness and our place in the universe. The validation Amelia sought came not in the form of irrefutable proof, but in the opening of minds to new possibilities. Her journey had become a catalyst for a broader exploration of the intersection between science and spirituality, challenging long-held beliefs and inspiring a new wave of research into the nature of reality itself. As Amelia prepared to share her message with a wider audience, she realized that the true power of her experience lay not just in the specific prophecies, but in its ability to unite people in a shared quest for understanding. The world was listening, and the countdown to 2025 had begun. The countdown to 2025 had begun, and Amelia Johnson found herself at the center of a growing storm. Her near-death experience and the visions she received from Jesus had ignited a fierce debate about humanity's future. As she stepped onto the global stage, Amelia's message of impending change and the need for preparation resonated with millions, while others dismissed her as a fraud or a lunatic. Amelia's efforts to spread awareness took many forms. She wrote a book detailing her experience, which quickly became a bestseller. Television interviews and viral videos followed, each appearance drawing more attention to her prophecies. Social media buzzed with discussions about her claims, with hashtags like #Amelia2025 and #Prophetic Visions trending worldwide. The reactions to Amelia's message were as diverse as they were intense. Some embraced her warnings wholeheartedly, forming groups dedicated to preparing for the coming events. Others approached her claims with cautious curiosity, intrigued by the possibilities but hesitant to fully commit. Skeptics and debunkers worked tirelessly to discredit her, pointing to inconsistencies in her story and questioning her mental state. Despite the controversy, Amelia remained focused on her mission. She outlined specific preparations based on her visions, urging people to develop sustainable living practices and strengthen their communities. The Earth's upheaval will require us to be more self-reliant and interconnected, she explained during a widely watched interview. We must learn to live in harmony with nature and each other. Amelia's advice wasn't limited to practical matters. She emphasized the importance of spiritual growth and inner peace in the face of coming challenges. Meditation, prayer, and acts of compassion became central themes in her message. The technological leap we're about to experience will test our humanity, she warned. We must anchor ourselves in love and empathy to navigate this new frontier. As 2025 drew nearer, society began to shift in response to Amelia's prophecies. Eco-friendly technologies saw a surge in investment and development. Communities around the world started organizing local support networks and emergency response teams. A renewed interest in spirituality and consciousness exploration swept across the globe, transcending traditional religious boundaries. The movement of believers and preparers grew exponentially. Amelia circles formed in cities and towns where people gathered to discuss the prophecies and support each other in their preparations. These groups became hubs of innovation, fostering new ideas for sustainable living and community building. Yet as Amelia watched her message spread and take root, she grappled with the personal toll of her newfound role. The weight of knowledge she carried was both a blessing and a burden. How would she navigate the years leading up to 2025, knowing what lay ahead while living in a world not yet transformed? The journey that began with a glimpse of the divine was far from over, and Amelia understood that her greatest challenges still lay ahead. What happens when the messenger becomes the message? Amelia Johnson's life had become a living prophecy, a constant reminder of the future she had glimpsed. As the world debated her visions, Amelia faced a more immediate challenge: how to reconcile her divine insight with the mundane realities of everyday existence. Each morning, Amelia woke to a world that felt both familiar and alien. The simple act of making coffee or checking her emails took on new significance as she contemplated the monumental changes looming on the horizon. She found herself examining every interaction, every news headline, for signs of the events she knew were coming. The weight of her knowledge often felt overwhelming. Amelia struggled to engage in casual conversations with friends and family, knowing the transformative events that awaited them all. How could she discuss weekend plans or office gossip when her mind was filled with visions of global upheaval and spiritual awakening? Yet, amidst the burden of foreknowledge, Amelia experienced moments of profound connection to the divine. Sometimes, while meditating or in the quiet hours of the night, she felt echoes of the presence she had encountered during her near-death experience. These moments brought both comfort and new insights, deepening her understanding of the visions she had received. Amelia's relationships underwent significant changes. Some friends and family members embraced her new role, seeking her guidance and supporting her mission. Others grew distant, uncomfortable with the intensity of her convictions or skeptical of her claims. Her parents, initially shocked by her transformation, gradually came to accept that their daughter had been fundamentally changed by her experience. In her professional life, Amelia faced a difficult decision. Her marketing career, once a source of pride and fulfillment, now seemed trivial in comparison to her prophetic calling. After much soul-searching, she made the bold choice to leave her job and dedicate herself fully to spreading her message and preparing for the future she had foreseen. As the years ticked closer to 2025, Amelia developed strategies to balance her mission with the need for personal well-being. She established a daily routine that included time for reflection, physical exercise, and connecting with loved ones. These practices helped ground her in the present moment, even as her mind often raced towards the future. Amelia also sought out others who claimed to have had similar experiences, forming a small but supportive network of individuals who understood the unique challenges of living with prophetic insight. Together, they shared their struggles and insights, finding strength in their shared journey. As the world inched closer to 2025, Amelia's prophecies began to cast a long shadow over global events. Natural disasters increased in frequency and intensity, with unprecedented storms and earthquakes making headlines worldwide. Scientists struggled to explain the rapid changes in weather patterns, while some pointed to Amelia's visions as a possible explanation for the chaos unfolding around them. In the political arena, tensions between nations escalated at an alarming rate. Diplomatic relations strained under the weight of resource scarcity and ideological differences. The world watched with bated breath as global superpowers engaged in a delicate dance of power and influence, their actions eerily reminiscent of Amelia's warnings about impending conflict. Meanwhile, a quiet revolution was taking place in laboratories and tech hubs across the globe. Breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and neuroscience hinted at the possibility of merging human consciousness with machines. While some hailed these advancements as the dawn of a new era, others expressed concern about the ethical implications of such technology. Society began to polarize around Amelia's prophecies. Preparers, as they came to be known, invested heavily in sustainable technologies and community-building initiatives. They established self-sufficient communes and developed intricate emergency response systems. On the other side, skeptics dismissed the growing movement as mass hysteria, arguing that Amelia's visions were nothing more than the product of a traumatized mind. Religious institutions grappled with the implications of Amelia's divine encounter. Some embraced her message, interpreting it as a call for spiritual renewal. Others condemned her as a false prophet, warning their followers against the dangers of misplaced faith. The debate raged on, blurring the lines between science, spirituality, and skepticism. As the countdown to 2025 continued, a palpable sense of anticipation gripped the world. Media outlets ran constant specials on Amelia's prophecies, analyzing every word for hidden meanings or potential inconsistencies. Social media buzzed with theories and preparations, while governments quietly developed contingency plans for various scenarios. Amelia herself became a figure of both admiration and controversy. Her every public appearance drew crowds of believers and critics alike. She continued to spread her message of preparation and spiritual awakening, even as the pressure of her role took its toll on her personal life. In the face of mounting evidence and growing global unrest, individuals found themselves at a crossroads. The choice before them was clear: embrace Amelia's warnings and prepare for a radically different future, or dismiss her visions and continue on as before. As 2025 loomed ever closer, the world held its breath, waiting to see if Amelia's prophecies would come to pass or fade into obscurity like so many doomsday predictions before them. As we reflect on Amelia Johnson's extraordinary journey, we stand at the precipice of a future both daunting and filled with potential. Her visions, born from a brush with death, paint a picture of a world on the brink of monumental change. The Earth's upheaval, global conflicts, spiritual awakening, and technological leaps she foresaw challenge us to reconsider our place in the cosmos and our responsibilities to one another. The coming years promise to test humanity's resilience and adaptability. Yet within these trials lies an opportunity for profound transformation. Amelia's story serves as a clarion call, urging us to look beyond our immediate concerns and consider the larger tapestry of human existence. It compels us to question our readiness for the changes ahead, not just in practical terms, but in our spiritual and ethical preparedness as well. As we approach 2025, each of us must grapple with our role in shaping the future. Will we heed the warnings and embrace the potential for positive change? Or will we remain mired in old patterns, unprepared for the challenges to come? Amelia's visions remind us that our choices today ripple through time, influencing the world we will inhabit tomorrow. The power to navigate this uncertain future lies within each of us, waiting to be awakened.